Hey, see, I told you I don't like to give up. Okay. Alright. Not wanting to give up. This is a clue to my personality. Okay, you guys, we got it. Hooray. So you can be on the phone or you can be on the Ustream, and I don't know why it decided to just start working again, but it did. And now I have it running in 2 different programs, but that's okay. At least it's better running in, now it's working in both of them. That is the weirdest thing ever. Seriously. It just goes to show you. You know what? That's a lesson. I want to say something about this, because those of you that are on the call, some of you know me, some of you don't. Some of you know that in the last, in fact it was 2 weeks ago today, that I used my intuition to help find the little boy that was missing in Menifee named Terry Smith. And unfortunately he was not found alive. But what's interesting about that is kind of just what happened here too. I was literally ready to give up. And I got there, and with my intuition, fix the video because somehow I've gotten out of the frame. With my intuition, I just knew which way to go. So I was literally following that, and just moving in a particular direction. And knowing that I was heading for a particular spot and trying to get there. So it really took a couple of hours to figure out how to get there. And when we found him, I was literally ready to give up. I said, okay, and I'm so persistent. I hate to give up. In fact, I remember like learning about the word persistent when I was maybe 4 years old. And my mom accused me of being persistent. So there you go, I am persistent. But I really got to the place where I was literally, I said, okay, this is going to be our last place. We've tried to figure out how to get to this one area. It's dark, it's hilly, it's dirt roads. I can't figure out how to get there. If we don't find him here, I'm just going to have to give up for the night. And that was when we found him. So anyway, interesting that the video just did that, because really nothing's a coincidence, right? I was ready to give up, and then it worked. So I've gotten comments from all over about using my intuition to find the boy. And it's funny because a lot of times on these calls I don't come right out and say how very intuitive I am. But I am. And what I want to say to you, though, is I'm going to explain to you what gets in our way, why it's there, what I've learned about it, and I want to let you know that everybody who's listening to me is also intuitive. You all have abilities that you're not using. And we know from what people have told us, right, you've probably heard this, that we only use about 10% of our capacity. But the truth is we're really only using about 3% of our capacity. And I'm going to show you what I found about that and why you care and how I can help you to increase using your capacity. Which, by the way, as you get rid of things that are in your way, it automatically increases your capacity to use the gifts that you've had, that you've been given, to use your abilities that you've been given, and to do what it is that you came here to do. So it really all goes very hand in hand. And in fact, I work with autistic kids now because I found out by accident that what I do helps with autism and ADD. And it's interesting because a lot of what I'm teaching them is how to go back to who they are and use the gifts that they came in, that they were given, instead of trying to do a lot of things the hard way. So that's what I'm going to talk about. So let me start out. I'm Pam Ragland. Hopefully most of you know that. And I used to transform companies. And when I transformed companies, I would look at the people that I was trying to help change, and I studied the people because I noticed that everybody else wasn't studying the people. Everybody else was forcing change upon people, and people were having a hard time with it. So I said, the people, they're the ones that actually do it. I'm going to figure out how can I help make it easier for them. So I just studied people and why people are resistant to change and what makes it easier. And as a result, I got very good at transforming organizations by figuring out how to help people change. But part of what I noticed is that I was always undoing what was done in school. And I would say, you know what, I'm literally undoing what's done in school. I'm teaching adults how to color outside the lines. And I remember one of my clients was actually Halliburton, a pretty big company. And I was in this place called Duncan, Oklahoma. And they happened to be in a manufacturing building. There was a bell. These were professional people I was working with, software engineers, who were paid a decent amount of money on salary every year. But there was a bell for when they could take a break. There was a bell for when they could go to lunch. And there was a bell for when they could go home. And they said to me, and I always ask employees, well, what would you like? And they said, what I'd like is to be able to just go home 5 minutes early if my child has a problem. And I was like, your salary, you can just go home. But they didn't know they could because they had a bell. And they were so conditioned to listen to the bell from school that then they took this environment and they had a bell and they just thought they had to follow the bell. I'm like, no, you're a salaried employee. If you need to leave early, you can. That's why you're on salary. At the same time, you might have to stay later sometime. That's what salaried is. But they didn't know that because they had been conditioned to operate within a certain way of looking at things. And they hadn't realized it could be different. And the problem is that a lot of us have been conditioned in that way. And we don't realize that life can be different and that we don't have to struggle and that change doesn't have to be hard. I have a friend on Facebook, and she's a real friend in real life too, but I see her a lot on Facebook. And she said something about running at the beach, and she said, yeah, you know, we do hard work. And I said, I beg to differ with you. I think that you can do that and you can make it effortless. And someone else came and said, you know, well, that's not true, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, the reason that you're not creating it that way is because you don't see it as true. So you're not even letting the possibility in. See, what happens is we've gotten so trapped in our way of thinking that we don't realize there's another way to be. And what's so interesting to me about all this publicity that I've gotten just because of being intuitive, by the way, that's our nature, that's who we are. It's not that, I mean, different people are set up for your intuition to speak to you differently, so I have a very direct route of intuition. Not everybody has that same direct route, but we all have it. But what's happened is it's all gotten covered up, and we've forgotten who we are, and we've forgotten our abilities. So part of why I'm here is to remind you that you have an immense amount of ability, that you're incredible, that my theme and what all my stuff says is that you're a masterpiece, that you came here that way. And what happened is little by little someone threw paint on you. And what I do is I'm just like the paint remover and I take all that stuff off. And you know, they actually went through this process in the Louvre in Paris. They decided that they were going to take all the touch-up paint off the paintings. And when they took it all off, because over the years, you know, there'd be like a little crack here, a little something there, and people would do touch-up paint. When they took all that off, a lot of times the paintings didn't even look anything like the original anymore. There were so many years of touch-up paint on it. And that's how we are. We've gotten all covered up, but underneath there's this masterpiece. Underneath we have all these abilities. Underneath we don't have a bunch of disease. Underneath we don't have a bunch of lack and limitation and struggle. That's not how life is supposed to be. It's supposed to be effortless. We're supposed to be living a life of joy, in abundance. And if that's not happening, then I can help you with that. So let me explain kind of how I got there. So I've been transforming these companies, and after a while, I had my second major illness in 4 of my 6 years being at this consulting company, working 80 hours a week and traveling Monday through Friday. Like, it was a big deal if I got to be in the same city 2 nights in a row. And so my first illness was cancer. That didn't really slow me down. I mean, I literally took like 6 to 8 weeks off and I went right back to the same old grindstone. So apparently I needed a bigger kick in the shin than that. And so my second major illness was pneumonia that wouldn't respond to 3 different kinds of antibiotics. And I couldn't travel for 3 months. And all I did was travel. So as I was home contemplating my life, all of a sudden at a certain point I said, Pam, get a clue. You're doing something wrong. This is your second major illness in 4 years. You're doing something wrong. And I said, okay, it's time to go. I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to work 4 days a week instead of 80 hours. I'm going to travel maybe once a month to break up the monotony. I'm going to make at least as much money as I was making before, which is 6 figures, and I have no idea what I'm going to do. And then because I was home, I got the chance to actually read like some of my mail, some of my stuff that was laying around, and I ran across this article on coaching, and it was new back then, and I said, oh, that's what I'm doing. I'm transforming organizations. I'm coaching the CEOs and the directors and the managers and the employees through change. That's what I'm doing. So I set up my shingle back in 2000 as one of the first coaches. Now, it's work, and it can take time to transform an organization of 100,000 people. But I thought, okay, when I start working with individuals, it's going to go faster. So I remember one of my first clients was this lady from Ireland. And I've recently realized that it probably had to go this way for the next part of the story. Because I was working with her, and her issue was she really wanted to work in film. But she kept taking these jobs at internet companies in the office, and she had gotten laid off 17 times. And I said, well, why don't you just go work in film? They make a lot of films in Ireland. Why don't you just go do that? That's what you want to do. And she said, well, I need to have a stable job. And I literally heard her mom's voice in her head, in Irish brogue, say, get a stable job, get a stable job. So what had happened is her mom had told her to get a stable job, and she had decided that an office job was stable, so she had connected the two together. So no matter what she might consciously want to do, which was work in film, that hidden voice of her mom's head was driving her behavior. And I went, oh my gosh. Now, the reason I say that I think it had to go that way was because I've recently realized, because it was Irish sounding, I would immediately know that that wasn't coming from my head. I didn't even realize I could do that. So I worked with her, and it took like 3 months. And I used the typical methods to get rid of things like that people will say. Like the people that are focusing on even getting rid of that stuff. Affirmations, visualization, stuff like that. And I just felt like I was pulling teeth. I'm like, this is too hard. And I would say to my clients, someday someone is going to invent a way to just go in your head and take all this stuff out without having to know what it is. And that's what I've done. And I call that process quantum thought shifting. It's a combination of a gift that I have, a healing gift, with the fact that I was going to be a doctor, so I would say I know just enough to be dangerous. And I learned a lot of stuff about how the body works, and I combine that together with my gift. And I have this recipe that I keep as a trade secret, and I do all this stuff, and it's like a spiritual jack of all trades. Like, chances are, if there's any system out there doing anything to clear anything or help you in any way, I already know about it, and it's in my recipe if it's worth doing. A lot of it's not worth doing because it's based on effort. So I worked with her. It's like 3 months later. Finally, we're starting to make some progress. I'm just like, So I had this realization that you could get rid of stuff. And then I ran across this machine, and it was supposed to get rid of negative conditioning or negative thoughts or tapes, they call it. I just shortened it to say negativity. Negativity is just resistance that's in our way. So if you imagine a battery, there's 2 sides. There's a plus side and there's a minus side. The plus side are all the things that help us effortlessly create our life in joy and abundance in the way we're supposed to. The minus side are all the things that get in the way. So negativity is just that. It's resistance. It's on the minus side. It's getting in our way. So I noticed that it's there. And then I run across this machine that's supposed to get rid of all of it, or get rid of it. So I'm like, I'm on top of it. I mean, I don't know how much I paid. $20,000 or $25,000 by the time I was done with the machine and the training and all that kind of stuff. I promptly invested it because if I could do this for my clients, I wanted to. And I start working with this machine. Well, then I'm getting information that nobody else is getting. And I start getting results that no one else is getting. And I kind of noticed. And then at a certain point I said, well, I wonder how much I'm helping people anyway. And I literally heard measure negativity. So I went, okay. So I started measuring how much of this resistance, these thoughts are there. And what I found was the average adult has 97.4% of all your thoughts in your way. And all but about 1% of it is hidden. So, part of the reason that we're not all out there being as intuitive as we are is not because we aren't that. It's just because we got all these ideas that that's bad, it's evil, that we're not like that we can't trust it. I mean, it was kindergarten when my kids came home and said, "Mommy, we have 5 senses." I said, "No, you don't. You have 6. And the one they don't tell you about is the most important one." So what happens is we learn. And we learn all this stuff and it all goes in. And this is how that process works. So behind me, there's a door off to the left. And when you're a kid, you learn that it's called a door. And then you might learn it's called a panel door, or a door to the room, or a wood door. There's different names we give it. But once you learn, that learning goes in your brain. And it creates what's called a neural pathway. It's literally this path of information, so that when you look at a door, you automatically know what it's called. You automatically know all the attributes of a door. You know what it might feel like, smell, taste, touch. All of your senses get stored with this information, what it looks like. And as soon as it's automatic, it goes in your subconscious and this neural pathway is formed. And the purpose of that is so you don't have to keep relearning what a door is. The problem is that when negative stuff goes in, it goes in the same way. So let's say that the first time that you encountered a door, you shut your finger in the door. Now every time you look at the door, you're going to have fear, because that fear of the pain of what happened when you shut your finger in the door is stored all along with all the other information. And this is how that stuff gets in there, and that's physically stored in our body. So the psychological statistics say that 50% of our thoughts are there by the time we're 5. And I said, I think it's more. So I started measuring. And what I found is that we have 61% of all of our total thoughts we'll ever have in our life, almost 2/3, by the time we're 5. And of that amount, more than 1/3, more than 1 million groups of information, clusters, I just shortened it to say thoughts, but it's really all that information at one time. More than 1 million of those are already there by the time you're 5. It's overwhelming. So part of the reason why change is so hard is because just the sheer number of all this stuff. That 97.4% of all your thoughts is almost everything. Okay, that's like, there's not much left. You'll see when I answer people's questions, I'll actually measure your negativity and then see how much is associated with that issue. And you'll see, like, how shocking it is, because everybody thinks, oh, that's not me. Well, people go in 2 categories. They think, I totally believe that, or they think, oh, that's not me. And I'm telling you, everybody who thinks it's not me, it is. Because the other part of it is that almost everything but 1% of that is actually hidden in your subconscious. You don't even know it's there. You're just doing it. And I'll tell people, let's say that you have a spouse or a partner, and they say to you, oh, you always do blah blah blah, and you think you don't. You probably do, because we do so much of it on autopilot we don't even realize what we're doing. So it goes in, it's stored, it's not serving us, and then it pops up. Now, what we create our life with are all the thoughts in our subconscious. We literally attract. It's a physiological mechanism called the reticular activating system. We literally attract stuff based on what's in our subconscious. So let's say that you're 2.5, and I've seen this. You have this idea that you're not good enough, that you can't do, let's say you've got a perfectionistic parent, and they're always telling you to do things differently. So you get this idea that whatever you do, it's not good enough. Now you carry that forward. And with everything you do, you still have this idea that it's not good enough. And that shows up in all sorts of ways. That shows up in people becoming perfectionistic. That shows up in people having addictions. But the root cause of it was the parent who continually corrected the child. A lot of times when parents are doing these things, obviously they don't know they're doing them. Not only that, it's usually how they were parented. So it's just passed on. There's this story that I like to tell. It's this mom has a ham, and she cuts it in half. And her daughter says, "Oh, why'd you cut that ham in half?" She goes, "I don't know. My mom always did that." They go to the mom. She says, "Grandma, why'd you cut the ham in half?" "I don't know. My mom always did that." They go to her mom, the great-grandma. They're like, "Great-grandma, why do you cut the ham in half?" "Because it wouldn't fit in our wood stove." And so that's what happens. We get these habits, We think it's how it is. It's automatic. It's just happening. We don't question it. And then it becomes automatic limitations for us. This is what happens with addiction. This is what happens with obsessions. This is what happens with phobias. I'm seeing a question about phobias. This is what happens, and then we learn how to react in that circumstance, and we just repeat it. And we repeat it over and over and over. And the more times we repeat it, the more it gets stored, the more deeply it gets stored, the more that neural pathway gets reinforced. So instead of being like a little trickle, like a creek, now it's like the Grand Canyon. So you're also going to see, when I answer people's questions, I'll ask how much of that issue is related to this question that I just answered. And you'll see that the numbers will be pretty high. Because what tends to happen is you tend to ask the biggest thing that's most important to you without even really realizing that that's what you're doing. And I can zone in on the actual root of it. So the process of how I'm doing that is my intuition. But what I want to tell you is we all have that. It's just that, oh, hold on, fax machine. Yeah. I don't know how to stop the fax machine. I can stop all the other dings in my office except for the fax machine. Sorry. So we all have this ability, the same ability, intuitive ability that I have. The only difference is I've learned to listen. I've learned how to listen, and I've learned not to question myself. And, yet there's still points where, it's taken me a while to get to the place where I would fess up. Like, I've really had this conversation to say, okay, yeah, I sit on these calls and I answer people's questions, but I'm not really fessing up and saying how intuitive I am. And then it's funny because this thing came up with this boy, and I totally knew I was going to get outed, and that I had to say it in order to help. But again, I thought we were going to find a live child. So it just kind of worked out that way. And that it's not a coincidence. I mean, it just happens, someone overheard my son, and then someone asked me about it, and then a reporter calls me and gets an audio interview, then all of a sudden everybody's calling, and it's crazy how it just everybody knows. And so I posted something on my Facebook. I'm like, okay, I guess the cat's out of the bag. But you know what? Maybe that's all. It has to all be for a reason. Because what I know for sure is I followed my intuition to go there. I followed my intuition every step of the way. And when people told me, no, we've already searched there, that's impossible, he can't be there, I said, I'm telling you, he's there. Like, I know. And I trusted it. And that's the place that we're all meant to be. We're all meant to be in that place where we totally trust our intuition, where we totally understand that there's something that we can't see. You know what's so interesting that I found about this whole thing? And what I really want you guys to get and see how so much of our limitation is built into us. So I'm in this major lawsuit with U.S. Bank. They sold my house illegally. They admitted it. My trial's coming up in September. After almost 5 years, I've been fighting for this trial. My loan documents were forged. I've been in the courtroom with them and seen U.S. Bank's attorneys make up evidence. Why do we think that because something is in writing, that it's any more of a fact than getting information any other way? Like, it astonishes me. Like, not only are those things not factual, they're anything but factual. They're literally made up. So I think that we're in a place right now where we're getting ready to tap into more of who we are. And that the only way for us to really do that is to get rid of these things that are bogging us down. They're literally weighing us down. And for some of you that are listening, you're going to have troubles with weight. What weighs you down physically, emotionally, weighs you down physically? People ask me these questions. I get so many questions on these calls that I finally started offering private support to people a little bit of time. I know some of you might have signed up and it's scheduled way out, but I offer a little bit of time because I thought, okay, there's some people that, for you, it's going to be a benefit to make sure you have a guaranteed answer to your question. So if you're interested in anything like that, the website, let's see, make sure I got this right. It's I Tune In For You, the letter I, and then TUNEFORYOU.com. If that doesn't work, I know the other one works. It's my name, PamRagland.com/private support. I don't know how much longer I'll be able to do that. I'm getting so many requests, but I've made that available. I finally realized, you know what? For some people, for some of you listening, I'm going to tell you the answer to your question, and it's going to be something that you've been wondering about for 20 years. So I'm grateful that I'm able to do that. But what I want to tell you is that when we get rid of this conditioning and the stuff that's in our way, everybody has the ability to do more than we're doing now, to see more than we're seeing now, to manage our life in a way differently than we're doing now. And one of the things that I always have to do is set good boundaries. Like when you can tune into information, it's literally like changing the channel on the TV. And when you can do that, you can get bombarded. Let's say you fell asleep every night with a TV on. It's not as restful as sleep. Some of you may do that, but it's not. So I set boundaries with the divine and the unseen, and I'm like, no, sorry. And even after the little boy passed on, my daughter is, my kids are intuitive too. I mean, I worked with them when they were 2 and 3. This is our natural state. So this is all they know, really. They just are that. And my daughter said, Mommy, I think the boy's here. And so I said, okay, I'm sorry, you have to go, but you can come back later. I know he wants to tell us something about what happened. And I went in the garage and he was there. I'm like, no, you have to go all the way. So he's been doing different things to get our attention. So I'm like, okay, it's just about time for me to let him tell me what he wants to tell me. But see, we all, when we die, there's still a soul. It doesn't go away. All those things are still there. Anyway, we have the ability to do so much more than we're doing. And we don't have to put up with fears and struggle and unhappiness and physical pain and depression and addictions and all these things that get in our way. Money issues, we don't have to put up with that. We can create our life differently. The only thing that's in our way is all that stuff, that automatic negativity that's there, that we don't even realize is there, and it's running our life. It kind of ticks me off. Like once I realized it, I thought, okay, we're supposed to be in the driver's seat of our life, not all that hidden stuff. Like to me, it's not okay that some thought that someone put in my head when I was 3 years old is running my life. Now, on one of my websites, it says, would you willingly let a 5-year-old run your life? But really, it's kind of more like a 3-year-old. And we see this in people, because if you ever watch people, you'll notice that when they react to things, we call them childish. And you'll even literally see people go into the fetal position. That's actually a clue to when that negativity came in. Because when that negative idea was stored and that feeling that goes along with it, it actually stays at whatever that age is. So if you've got somebody around you and you see that they behave childishly, that gives you a clue as to when that issue came in for them. And people will tell me, oh, well, it started when I was 20. I'm like, doubtful. And you're going to see when I start answering people's questions that it's usually 0 to age 4. Very rarely does the real root of any issue come in any later. And let me tell you what's so important about getting to the real root. I was given this vision of a target when I started working with people, and I was clearing out just part of it. And I'll tell you about that process in a second. But I was clearing out just part of it. And it used to take like 60 days for like 10% of that negativity to go away. Now, by comparison, I've measured a lot of other systems, and they might get rid of maybe 0.5% over 30 years. So 10% even over 2 months, it just kind of progressively went away. I started the process and it just kind of happened. That's still a lot. But now that happens in a day. And it used to take 6 weeks for all of it to go away. I'm the only one that can get rid of all of it. And now that process takes 11 days and it's all gone. It's like having a virus on your computer and you only get rid of part of it. With the quantum thought shifting process, I'm getting rid of all of it. So that's the ideal. That's where we want to be. And then doing a bunch of other stuff, physically evolving your body, like that helps rebalance you. There's a lot of other things in there that I'm doing in that trade secret recipe. And again, it's if there's something else that someone's doing and I know about it, if it's worth doing, it's probably already in the recipe. Because I just have that ability. Every time, I didn't know that I could find that boy. Like, I didn't think I couldn't. But it wasn't until I said, I got this vision of where he wasn't. Literally, I saw the city and I heard no. And someone said, okay, well, if he's not there, where is he? I'm like, good question. You asked me a question, now I can answer it. I physically turned my body. I faced this store where everybody was at, and I said, he's behind the store. And people said to me, people have searched there hundreds of times. I'm like, I'm just telling you, that's where he's at. Like, I know. Now, in that moment, I could have doubted myself. But I knew. And I was willing to say, I know this. When we ended up going on his property, had I known it was his property, I might have doubted myself. Because I wouldn't have really thought that he would be there. So, things happen like they're supposed to. Everyone who's listening, you're here for a reason. It's not an accident. The only question is, are you really determined enough if you want to change whatever it is that's in your way? And if you are, I can help you. So I'll tell you about that, then I'm going to answer the questions. So I came up with this process that's called quantum thought shifting, and that was an accident. I was working with that machine, so I thought, and then I literally divinely received this recipe in my journal. I tried it out on the machine, and at a certain point I realized I had forgotten to turn it on, and then I knew it was me. I went, oh my gosh, if I can do this, like no one else can do that. No one else can get rid of everything. What else can I do? And, life has really been a process of continuing to find out all the things that we're capable of. Because I'll do things and go, I didn't know I could do that. Like, I'm able to get rid of people's drug withdrawals and they go away like that. I'm talking heroin, cocaine, you name it. And people aren't doing that. And from home, like, you don't have to check in anywhere. And I'll be like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. We can do so many more things. I mean, I'm sure there's so many more things I haven't even conceived of yet that are possible. And not just for me, for everybody. That's my message. It's not just for me. It's for everybody. It's just because we have all these things that tell us we can't do that get in our way and that limit us. So I created that process. I found it's a combination of two things. It's me doing the healing part for you, the quantum thought shifting, and then it's me teaching you how to capitalize on using the power that you have. Because all of a sudden your thoughts become way more powerful and you need to know how to use them. By the way, you're going to get more on purpose. You may be in a job that you hate, but it makes you money, so then you need to have an early transition, things like that. And then I found that for some people that was too much change, so I went back and I created something more entry level, and I called that just thought shifting, and that's level 1. So you're given the option. You can choose to get the entire package and go to level 4, or you can start at level 1 if for some reason you're just not ready to make that kind of commitment. Okay, and then you can't go all the way to level 4, though. You still have to go in steps. It's just that you kind of get it as a package, or you just do it a la carte, and then that ends up the investment's higher if you do it a la carte. So, but that's okay. I created that process. Some people might want to try level 1 and level 2, and maybe that's it. But you'll see as I go through the questions. We're going to see what's best for most people. And then, okay, I have, oh, hello everyone. I see you guys out there. Yay, this is so cool. The person with the phobia, yes, I can help you. It's everything that I'm talking about, and it's the automatic learning that we have. And yes, I know that I can help you. So just so that you know. And I'm going to go look through the questions right now. Basically, I answer the questions. I don't do them so much from the chat. And I saw that out there, and I want to let you know. A phobia is just like an addiction. I know it seems like it's not just like an addiction, but it actually is. A phobia is actually the same kind of process as an addiction. Okay. I'm going through the questions here. Let's see. Where my questions go? So you're going to have to find what I do with my questions. Okay. Oh, I see. I accidentally put them in the wrong folder. Okay, I was scaring myself. I'm like, where do all my questions go? Sorry, we're going to try this new process, but it's okay. I figured it out. Yay, there they all are. Like, they were there, and then they left. Okay. Yeah, and just so you guys know, if I answer your question, all I do is say your name and your city. So, and if you ask me to do something different, then I'll do that as well. I'm certainly not here to out you publicly. Okay. I think I'm supposed to answer this person's question. Okay. Okay, so this person is initialed S, asked me to use your initials, and you're from Canoga Park. Okay, so this person says, my health is my biggest obstacle. I have a thyroid condition. Oh, I always forget. I like to write down whose question they answered also. I have a thyroid condition, finally greatly helped by Dr. Teresa Dale, nutritionist, but still tired, dental issues out of control due to lack of funds, fear of losing the rest of my teeth, lifelong candida, helped by Dr. Dale, but I've gone with a strict diet. I also haven't had a romantic relationship in years, just friends. I just turned 65, although I look 45. I'm in debt and I fear losing my house. Okay, there's a lot of stuff going on there. I'm going to focus on one thing. And this is S from Canoga Park. Okay, so the cancer that I had was thyroid, and when you have an issue with your thyroid, it's an issue of you expressing your will. This is an issue of you standing up for yourself and saying what you know to be true. And so you not standing up for yourself started very early. This is something that started when you were about age 3. This is behavior that you learned from your mom. So what happens is we get this negativity 3 ways. We either hear somebody say it directly to us, we assess a situation and we get a certain idea in our head about it, which is in a child's mind. We wouldn't look at it necessarily the same way as an adult. Or we model behavior that we see. That's how we learn how to walk. You know, we watch other people and we think, oh, that's how it's done. We're not crawling around on our knees. We're standing up on our feet. And we sit there and we try to walk. And then you see, if you've ever seen a kid who gets ready to walk or they pull themselves up, they get this huge grin on their face because they're so excited they figured it out. Well, we also learn behavior that doesn't serve us that way as well. So this is what I'm getting. I'm getting that really starting from the age of 3, you learn not to stand up for yourself. I'm seeing that your mom was abused. I want to use that word. Your mom was abused by your dad, or whoever her husband was, your father figure. And you have allowed everybody to take advantage of you. as a result, you're not expressing your will. Thyroid is about expressing your will, who you are, standing up for yourself, okay? Now, let's look at your negativity. So that's what's causing everything, actually. But your own negativity is 98.2%. Remember, the average is 97.4, so that's not too much more. This particular issue is 51.3%. So you're really a good candidate for quantum thought shifting at level 4. However, since funds are an issue, I'm going to give you 2 different things that you can do. First of all, I have a home study that's about caretaking. You would benefit from learning about that. Caretaking is where we don't set good boundaries. And we actually allow people to take our energy. But our energy is also our power. So a lot of our illness happens because we're actually letting people take from us. So any of you out there that have like recurrent illnesses, you want to listen to this, because if you've got a recurrent illness, you need to learn about caretaking. And you can find that at pamragland.com/stop caretaking now. And it's my name, Pam Ragland. And then stop, S-T-O-P, caretaking, C-A-R-E-T-A-K-I-N-G, and then the word now, okay, N-O-W. So take a look at that. The other thing I'm going to give you for the money, I do have some free money videos, and that's at the number 5moneysecrets.com. It leads to a CD that can help you attract money, but you can get a lot out of the free videos, so take a look at that as well. Okay. What I know is once the negativity gets up in like the 40s, that you really need to go to level 4 or the quantum thought shifting to clear all of it, to have the hugest impact. Every level will make an impact, but what happens is everything, those associations in our brain, they get all connected. It's like a spider web. So you start having, an association of being afraid of the door over here and being afraid of the door over there, and because there's doors everywhere, and then pretty soon, that's how like really big issues like phobias and addictions and things like that develop, because we just learn more and more and more. We reinforce that negative learning. Okay. So I hope that helps. Let's see. Backwards here. You guys can always ask as many questions as you want. There's other ways. I'm starting to answer questions in videos too, and put them on my blog, and put those on YouTube. So there's other ways to get your questions answered, because I can only fit so many people in. I know my kids are going to come bursting through the door, because today's the day we're taking the rabbits to the fair. So I put a little note on the door that said, please don't burst in the door. But they're kids. I'll get home from their dads. Okay. Okay, I'm going to take this one. This person's name is Lori, and it looks like she actually lives maybe someplace near me. Okay, so Lori says, hi, I came upon the site because I was reading the RSM patch about you finding a boy. It intrigued me, and when I went to your site and I looked at it, I was reading it for literally about 45 minutes. Wow, I really am into your website. My daughter Marina has severe ADHD. She has a lot of negative thoughts about herself, and she procrastinates. It takes her so long to do her homework, read, etc., and she's a perfectionist. She gets really good grades. She just went to college at Fashion Institute in Los Angeles, and I worry about her. I know she's going to be fine. She takes Concerta. I don't like her taking it, as I feel like it makes her really negative. She said she needs it to stay focused. I have 4 children. Maybe this is something that should be looked into. I've done EMDR, and so has she. This is all really interesting to me. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 answers to this, because you're really asking about your daughter. And it sounds like she's college age. Okay. First of all, I do work with children and adults who have ADD, ADHD, and also autism. And I'm right now doing a live group with children starting from level 1 up through the quantum thought shifting for autism. And then that's going to be taken to a home study like the other work I do. I forgot to mention, how I work is I do the healing behind the scenes, and then you, right now it's all home study unless you work with me privately, which I only do a couple people at a time. So most people just do it by home study. You either do the quantum thought shifting, or you can start at level 1 if you're not prepared to do that. And that's all delivered, it's basically at your own pace. So I do all the healing behind the scenes. I do that for you when you tell me that you're ready. And then the rest of it is the lessons are delivered to you. It's video and audio. So for this autism and ADHD group, for the kids, it's going to be live one time, and then that's all getting taken to home study. And I was going to do it live more times, like I used to do with just the basic group, but the parents are so busy, it's really to their benefit. Okay, so I definitely work with that, but the procrastination is what I want to focus on right now with your daughter. Okay, this is something that she actually learned from her dad when she was 4. Starting when she was age 4. Okay. This is what I'm seeing about her dad. Her dad's kind of overprotective. And in doing that, he didn't allow her to do a lot of things for herself. I started writing this book for parents, and one of these days I'll finish it. Because there's so many things like this where, as parents, we think that we're doing the right thing, and we don't realize what we're really teaching our kids and the result that it could be. So this is a well-meaning, well-intended, kind of protective dad, and I'm seeing that she really just got the idea that she couldn't do things. And because she got the idea that she couldn't do things, she was afraid to try unless it would come out perfectly. And she was trying to please him. Which is also common. I mean, it's very common for girls to try to please their dads. But it's definitely negative conditioning. And, there's a difference between doing something at your best effort and doing something that's perfectionistic. Because perfectionism is a goal that's never achieved. So that is something that kind of takes, people kind of over the edge. The other thing that I want to say about all the ADD medicine, I'm very anti-medicine. And part of it is because I first wrote a book about addictions before I came to working with people with autism and ADD. And people don't realize that half of the kids that go on that medicine are going to become addicts, because it doesn't, first of all, you get used to that. But secondly, you don't learn how to properly express your feelings. So things build up. The boy that I found that was passed away and his brother supposedly were both on medicine. It wouldn't surprise me. If you look right at the package inserts, it will say something like, you may become suicidal or violent. So, and there's a reason for that. And of course they don't highlight that. So I really look at using all those things as caution. When I work with people in my programs, I like to get you off of that. And I can actually do that. I can remove any withdrawals that you have and things like that. But that's part of, you're just going to get better results whenever you're able to just be free of that and not have to be medicated all the time. Okay, so for your daughter's negativity, she is at 97.2, so she's a little bit below average, but this particular issue, is 38.9. Okay, so she's definitely a good candidate for level 1 and level 2 thought shifting, and I mean, everyone's would do well at level 4, but for sure she would want to probably go to at least to level 1 and level 2 and try to take care of this issue. I would recommend it. Also, I do have a CD for kids. It's for kids though. She might be a little bit old, but I have it's about self-esteem. It teaches them how to self-soothe, but it's also for self-esteem. That is at pamragland.com/ATCALM, CALM, esteem, ESTEEM. Okay, so you can find out about that there. She might benefit from that, just from the self-esteem aspect. I actually created that for my son. Okay, let me take a couple more here. I can hear that my kids got here. Yay. Okay. Okay, so let's see. This person's name is Flossie, and Flossie is in someplace in the United States. Okay, so Flossie's asking several different questions. Fear during school, yo-yoed in weight, losing everything and now having financial struggle, second guessing myself. Okay. I mentioned it before, but because we're conditioned to think that we don't have this sixth sense that we really do, a lot of us tend to second guess ourselves, if we're honest, because we don't really trust what we get. So then we try to go to the facts and try to figure out the facts, but the facts can be manipulated. The facts can be made up. You know, the media manipulates people. So the more of this negativity that gets uncovered, it's basically level 1's about 11% on average, level 2 is 27% on average, but it goes 25 to 50%. Again, level 3 is about another 13%, but it's all progressive. So by this point in time, you've gotten rid of a lot of stuff. Level 4 gets rid of all of it. The more of it you do, the more intuitive you become, and the more in tune you are with your abilities that you have, because that's just who we are. Like, we came in the world like that. You know, it's interesting, for that boy that was missing, a couple people wrote on the Facebook page for him that they had kids that were like 3 and they saw him under a tree in this particular area, which is really where he was found. So it's interesting that some of the younger kids were able to kind of tune into that. And all right, it feels to me like the biggest challenge for you has to do with your weight. So I'm going to focus on that. This is something that started when you were 3 also. See what I mean? It's like 0 to age 5. Okay. Okay, I'm seeing that you have a mom that was not very emotionally connected. And you kind of took it personally. Feels like she might have had some kind of an addiction or been medicated. But remember how I said that one of the ways that kids learn is by you make an assessment about yourself. So in this case, you made an assessment about yourself and you decided that it was your fault. And I want to tell you it's not your fault. Okay, but you decided that when you were 3, so that's kind of still with you. And that pain of feeling disconnected has kind of gone into everything you do. Like, it's got fingers and toes in everything. So it's like you feel like you don't quite fit in anywhere. Okay? Okay, so definitely, let's look at the negativity. You're at 98.5%, so that's pretty high, but when, you know, again, when it's 97.4% on average, there's not that much more room to go. This particular issue is 56%. So yeah, you are a great candidate for level 4, for sure. However, I also want you to take a look at the money videos, because I know that you said that that's a struggle for you. Now, there are ways, if you guys want to do these programs, I have an affiliate program, I forgot to mention that, and you can actually refer people and earn your own program. So don't feel like if you're sitting there thinking, there's no way that I can do this, that's not true. I set it up in a way so that it can be very win-win. You know, it's a win if there's other people that can be helped and they don't know about it and they can find out about it. It's a win, you know, for you that you can actually earn towards your own program if you want to do that. Okay, but anyway, 5moneysecrets.com is the free video series. So I want you to take a look at that. But that's the way, that pain that you have, this is emotional eating. It's an addiction, okay? Now I do have a book on addictions too, and I think that that would help you. And that's at the 7, numeral 7, whys, W-H-Y-S, of addiction.com. So the 7 whys of addiction.com. Okay, let me see how many more I can get here. Okay, let's see. Any of you that are listening that have money challenges, go to the money videos, 5 moneysecrets.com. Take a look at that. I have a money CD, it's very low cost, and also a home study book that kind of walks you through a program. So that's something, and I actually do have a money club. I call it a money power club. I'm walking people through right now how to start their own business because that's my background. So that's something else I have available. I don't really have a page for that. If you want to find out about that, just contact us. Go to pamragland.com/contact us. And then we'll put you in touch with the right area. Okay. Let's see. Find somebody who's not the country. Oh, okay. I have to enter this one. Okay, this is Lisa. And Lisa's in Temecula. Should I write this down? Okay, so Lisa says, my son is getting married on Saturday and I'm not invited. I'm heartbroken. He cut me out of his life 8 years ago when he turned 18 and his father and I divorced. I hear he calls my ex-new wife Mom. I feel betrayed and abandoned, but I can't help but wonder what I've done in this life or another to bring me to this painful situation. My other 2 children are estranged from me too, each in their own way, and I don't understand why. I've often wondered if this is a spiritual punishment for actions I took in my youth, and perhaps maybe even generational. My mother is not respected by her 7 children, 6 now since my brother committed suicide 2 years ago. Is this a generational curse or a punishment for my having had 3 abortions in my teens? I repented of that sin and got married and had 3 children, even though I never wanted marriage or children, to try to atone for my sin. I didn't love their dad, but I did love them and stayed with them until they were all grown to give them a good home. Why do they hate me so much? Okay, there's a lot of pain in this question. Let me just say a few things. First of all, I don't believe that we ever come here to get punished. But I do believe that we have lessons that we can learn that help us become more and more empowered and happier and happier and happier in life. And sometimes some of those lessons are just in how we approach things. Other times they're big lessons. Like, for example, there's this thing that I do, well, other people do it too, but I found that I could do it, called going into the Akashic Records, and it's basically why things happen. And losing my house was pretty much the single most traumatic thing that's ever happened to me. And that's saying a lot, because like I was abused as a child, and I had cancer, and I had an abusive husband. I mean, I've had a lot of bad things happen to me. But when I asked, was I supposed to, I was told yes. And I said why. And I was told, Pam, so you would know how the banks operate. And I certainly have learned a lot about how the banks operate. So, and everything in that just went like it was out of my control. Like I couldn't really do anything about it. And I really believe it's because it was supposed to go like that. So that's not a lesson, though, that's meant to punish us. It's one that's meant to empower us. And I can safely say that I wouldn't have spoken out and said that I could help look for this boy or find him if I was caring about what people think. And it wasn't until I spoke out and told people that U.S. Bank sold my house illegally that I stopped caring what people thought. Because their story is to tell everybody that people are deadbeats, and that's not true. Like, they actually broke the law and they admitted it. They knew that there was a restraining order in my house, and they knew it. So, but it was the perception, and then I got to the point where I was like, whatever, I know the facts. So I don't care if you don't believe me, like, whatever. Now, it helped that I had a winning appeal in California, but still, that put me to the point where I could then speak up and say, yes, I am intuitive and I help that way, okay? And not care what people think. Like, I really don't. So all these things, I don't believe that things happen in our life that are punishments. I really don't. I don't believe that you're having to repent for your sin. Okay, if you take the Bible and I grew up this way, if you take the Bible and you replace the word negativity with sin, you'll see that it fits very nicely. And it says in there, the sins of the father are put upon the son. It's this generational negativity that gets passed on from generation to generation. So what I want to do with this is, because there's a lot in this question, I just want to set a few things straight. That it's not a punishment, that you don't have to repent, that I know that that's not, that you didn't have to have kids just to make up for what happened. And also to say that, we're teaching our kids how to have a relationship. So everybody has an individual decision to make, but when we're in a bad one, we're also teaching them that. And just keep that in mind. So this is what I get when I'm tuning in. Your son, he is very resentful that you got a divorce. And he sees it as your fault. So he's blaming you. So are your other kids. So here's the irony. You made a decision to stay with their dad to give him a good life, and they resent it. Had you left earlier, they might have actually understood it more. Now, don't go beating yourself up for that, because that's not going to provide any value. The question is, why did you feel like you had to stay there? Because really what you did is you kind of sacrificed your life for your kids, okay? Okay. So this is what's going on with that. You have this idea that you're not allowed to be happy. This is an idea that you got from your mom. And your mom had very much victim behavior. So you learned it from her. This is learned behavior. But it was also reinforced by things that she would say to you. Okay. And that started again age 3. So that's why you sacrifice yourself in the first place. You have this idea that you're not allowed to be happy, so you kind of, like in a martyr way, sacrifice your own life for your kids. And now, interestingly, they resent you and you resent them for resenting you. So nothing that's happening here is doing anybody any good. Let's take a look at negativity with this. And obviously there's a lot of pain that you have over what's going on here. What I want to tell you is that people show up in a way that, in order to help you learn what it is that you need to learn. So when you learn that, a lot of times they'll just show up differently. And sometimes they'll try stuff, like my kid's dad. Probably for 20 minutes last night he said, people are talking about you because you found that kid. I said, I don't really care. And I think it took him about because he's not used to me being like that. And it used to be that he could take my power, and he can't do that anymore. So your energy is your power is energy. When somebody saps your energy, they're taking your power. We're all supposed to have our own and tap into our own strength and not be giving and taking from everybody else. So it wasn't that he didn't try. He tried for like 20 minutes and he finally hung up on me. I was like, okay, whatever, hang up on me. And I just thought, wow, I've grown so much. It used to be that I'd feel that sap my energy, and now I don't. It feels really good. And it also felt really good to say, you know what, I could care less what people think. They think what they think. I have no control over that. It doesn't change what I know to be true. So, yeah. So it would be great to help turn this around for you. Okay, so your negativity is at 98.2. This particular issue is at 51% also. Okay, and a lot of high. Okay, so that tells me that you're going to do best at level 4, but anything is going to help you. Also, you might want to take a look at that caretaking program that I talked to. To find out about level 1, I'm sorry, I didn't really say that. It's pamragland.com/level 1, LEVEL and the number 1. And I am kind of changing that. That page is like super long, and so I think I'm going to change it. Like there might be pretty soon like a video that you can watch that tells you more about it, or you can look at that page, but you can, and then you can bypass a lot of how long it is. All right. But that is where you find it, pamragland.com/level 1. And no matter what, whether it's the video, whether it's that, you'll be able to get it from that spot. Okay. And then that will take you, you can look at whether you want to do the quantum thought shifting or level 1. The thought shifting, either one. But you would also benefit from the caretaking program, because you're right in the middle of it right now. What happens is you've been caretaking your kids. You've been giving up yourself for them, and now very often you're in exactly the boat that you find yourself in. You've given up so much of yourself to them, and it doesn't seem like they appreciate it, and then you feel hurt and resentful. So it's time to really change that boundary. The other thing that I want to tell you is, it's okay to tell your kids, this hurts my feelings. Like, I need to let you know that I love you. I'm sorry if you feel resentful because I divorced your dad. I stayed with him because I wanted you to be happy. And it hurts my feelings that you didn't invite me to the wedding. And it really feels like that you need to say that. Okay, I'm going to do one more. Then I'm going to do I always do a free healing for you. So I'll do that. And since my kids are waiting, I'll call it a night. Let's see. I have a lot of you guys asking me about missing people. I'm trying to figure out how to handle that. That would be separate from these calls, just so that you know. I don't usually do that in these calls. But I'm trying to figure out, I know the police said that they had like 20 calls in one day for me, so I'm trying to figure that out, because I wasn't really something that I saw myself doing. Hey, this person was right beside me. Oh. Whoever you are, let's see. You're, just to let you know if you're listening to the call. Well, anyway. Someone on Via Viento, you're near me. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to actually take this one. This is Lisa. Lisa's from Temecula also. And you said you'll be on Ustream. And I think you were the person that was in the chat asking me questions. Okay, so let's see. And Lisa's question is, I need a job, I need to find a place to live, I need a permanent solution to my struggle with alcohol and cigarettes and depression. I'm so consumed and overwhelmed by sadness and fear. Sometimes I feel like giving up. Do you see or hear anything, any message that can help me? Okay, so what I always do is I go to why is this happening? Like, why do you find yourself in the place you're in? And we were talking already, I'm pretty sure you're the same one. We were talking about the phobias, right? Okay, yes, it's you. Okay. Let's see. Someone's asking about the levels. Go to, I'll put the link in the chat. Let's see. And then I also see someone asking about your loved ones. Just to let you know, I took it off the page because people were having a fit about it, but I can, if you want to get the private time with me, I can also communicate with your loved ones, and you can get like 10 minutes. You don't have to, I can do a lot in that time, you guys, just so you know. Okay, I'm really good. It's very fast. Okay, so I put in the chat information about how to go find out about the thought shifting. And it tells you all about it. There's like so much information in there. That's the problem. It's way, way, way more. Let's see. Okay, and then it's, if you want to get the private time with me, it's, I think it's itunein4you.com. If that doesn't work, then I should really check it and see if it works. As I'm in the internet. I set that up and I wasn't really, I was using the other one, the private support, and then I never memorized that page, so I'll check that in just a second. Okay, so Lisa, let me see if it's there. Yep, okay, there you go. It is there. Okay, so I'm going to close myself out. Yeah, so that's the right link. It's the letter I, tune, T-U-N-E, in FORU.com. Okay, you can go there, and then you can get time with me about anything that you want, you know, intuitively. It can be information for yourself, or you can talk to a loved one, or whatever it is that you want. I can do that for you. There's only so much time set up, and I'm going on vacation, so just to let you guys know, if you go to schedule it and it runs out of time, you'll get a message and you can contact my assistant, and she'll make sure that you get set up. Okay. So Lisa, the question is, why do you find yourself in this place? This is what I get. I really get that you're very subject to other people's energy. There's two things going on here. You're subject to other people's energy, and you don't have good boundaries around it. So sometimes when you're feeling sad, it's not you that's sad at all, it's somebody else. Okay. Now, the good news is, well, two things. I have that caretaking program, the Stop Caretaking now, but you also have the money thing going on. So this is, you can get a double whammy. There's, if you go to, but I'm going to tell you what happened with it in a second, but if you go to 5moneysecrets.com, the number 5moneysecrets.com, it's the free money videos, but you can also get the CD. Now, part of what's on the CD is I have these exercises where I teach you actually how to protect your energy, and that's actually part of attracting money. So that will help you along with helping you learn how to attract money. So I'd really recommend that for you for both those reasons, and it's pretty reasonable. I'm going to be doing a speaking thing that's going to air, I think, on August 20th. I'll send an email out about that, probably a week before, and it's a whole series, and they're having me headline and start the series, and I'll be doing something else that I haven't done before for that group as well. But for you, kind of where you're at, I would recommend starting there. So one of the reasons is that you're subject to other people's energy. You don't have good energetic boundaries. Okay, I'm going to say that. So you're actually picking up stuff from other people. But now, you're also caretaking. And part of the reason why you're caretaking is because you learned it from your mom. So again, we go back to age 3. The reason that a lot of things start at age 3 isn't because it wasn't there before. It's because that's when we get language, when we really start to really form language, and we start to have recognition of some of these things that are going on. I have worked with people where I've seen things that literally come in as babies or even earlier, like you brought it in with you, and I call that soul debris. But in this particular case, I'm really getting that you learned how to caretake from your mom. Your mom feels like this spirit who, I'm going to say she's like all over the place. Almost kind of like hippie kind of spirit. Like free spirit, but she didn't have good boundaries. And you really learned that that's how things are. So that's, again, learned behavior. The thought shifting will definitely help you. So you can go to PamRagland.com/level1. To find out about that. But take a look at the 5moneysecrets.com, because I know that that's an issue for you, and I think that's going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And then you also want to look at the caretaking program. So it's PamRagland.com/stop caretaking now. And that's a home study. So, look at those 3 things and then see. When I answer your question, by the way, we send you an email and we'll give you these links so that you have it in there. Okay. But that's at PamRagland.com/stop caretaking now. Okay. I think that's all the questions I'm going to have a chance to answer. But I'm going to, like I said, I'm taking some of these questions now, and I'm also answering them via video. So watch your email, because I'll be doing more where I'll say, okay, I'm answering a question on this, I'm answering a question on that, to try to get through more of the questions. And I'm going to do the healing now for you. So I'd like all of you to just close your eyes. And unless you're operating heavy machinery or driving, then obviously don't close your eyes. I'm just sending healing your way, and this is protective energy. Those of you that are having challenges setting good boundaries, this is going to especially affect you. Okay, cool. And it will work on the recording. It's not quite as powerful as it is live, but it will work just by listening to it. And really, that's kind of an example of what I do. I like doing things quick and effortless and easy, and I don't believe in spending all day long doing rituals. I think we should be living our life the way that we're meant to. So, okay, I want to thank all of you for being here and being on this call. Like I said, you can ask your questions anytime, because I'm going to just be picking through randomly answering the questions throughout the month as well. And then I always hold these calls once a month. The schedule changes a little bit sometimes, like I'm going on vacation in August, so there might be a bit of a schedule change for that. But I always do them. You'll always have just as much chance as anybody else to get your question answered for free, always, on these calls. So, and then also in between as well. So I hope that this has been helpful to you, and thank you. And now I'm outed. I'm intuitive, but so are you. And I would love to see all of you living your life as the masterpiece that you're meant to be, because that's how we're supposed to be. That's what we're meant to be. And it's not supposed to be a struggle. It's not. I promise you that's not how we were designed. That's going to make me cry. So anyway, thank you for being here. I look forward to being able to serve you in some way, and hope to connect with each of you individually in one way or another. Okay, bye.